Alright, so in this video we're talking about studying for Chapter 5 of the ACE Personal Trainer exam. If you haven't seen any of my other study videos, I would recommend watching this one that I'll link up above because it talks about how to study for this exam as a whole, and then come back and watch this one for more specifics on Chapter 5. Chapter 5, this is where things get serious. This is like the meat and potatoes. If you don't understand Chapter 5, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to study for the rest of this exam because everything builds off of it. Within Chapter 5, there are these two big concepts that they want you to understand, and it exists on this continuum, the function, health, fitness, performance continuum. And within there, you have functional movement and resistance, and then cardiorespiratory training. Within those two groups, they have 4 phases that they divide it into, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Right, so before we get into that, if you find this video useful, consider subscribing because not only do I make these study tip videos, but I also have a whole series coming out here shortly about how to work with your first client, like how-to tutorials and basic movement patterns, basic exercises, things that will kind of give you some ideas of how to work with your first client so that hopefully you pass this exam and then you can come back to my channel for some other help as you are starting this journey of becoming a personal trainer. Okay, enough of that. Let's get into today's material. Functional movement and resistance training. Phase 1. Phase 1 is stability and mobility, and it's exactly that. There's no like super tricky things about this. Just make sure you understand good posture, balance, the center of gravity, they can stabilize themselves, and range of motion, also the planes of motion. Phase 2, movement training. So they break this down into 5 movement patterns. The bend and lift, single leg, push movements, pulling movements, rotational movements. Okay, so just know those 5 movements, what they look like, and know how a client should perform those with proper movement, so without any limitations or compensations. Phase 3 is load training. You know a client is in Phase 3 if they can do everything in Phase 1 and Phase 2. So they can squat down to pick something up, and they can perform basic movements without any compensations. If they can put their body through the proper range of motion, then it is time to start adding weight. Also, understand the FIT-VP acronym, the FITT-VP, which is frequency, intensity, time, type, volume, progression. That did come up a couple times for my exam. I know they have, it's like 300 questions, and they have like over 1,000 questions that they pool from, so not every exam is going to be the same. But on my exam, I did have that acronym on there several times, so make sure you understand that. Phase 4, performance training. Very few clients are going to be in this category unless they are an athlete. Most clients who are in Phase 4 are training for some kind of competition. This is where they're really focusing more on speed, agility, explosiveness, power. Again, most clients are not going to be in this phase unless you're training with athletes. Okay, that was functional movement and resistance training. We're halfway there. Stick with me. We're going to jump into cardiorespiratory training. Again, there's 4 phases. Phase 1, aerobic base. Clients who are in Phase 1 are probably going to be very sedentary. They don't traditionally do a whole lot of activity, so you're really just trying to establish a baseline of like where they are, what they can tolerate. So let's say you, just for example purposes, maybe cardio for them is like 10 minutes twice a week on the treadmill. Phase 2, aerobic efficiency. So this is where you take that baseline and you just add to it. So we just said 2 days a week for 10 minutes at a time. Maybe you do it 3 days a week for 10 minutes at a time. Or you do it 2 days a week for 15 minutes at a time. Basically anything that is progressing off of that 2 days a week for 10 minutes at a time. You could even add very small intervals. So just keep it that same 10-minute time slot, but do like 30 seconds of like a 1 or 2 level increase on the treadmill. Phase 3 is anaerobic endurance training. So this is where you're starting to truly add interval training, and you're working anywhere from below VT1 to just above VT2. Phase 4, anaerobic power training. So kind of like phase 4 in the, I already forgot what it was, functional movement and resistance training. This is most likely going to be an athlete. For the most part, people who are in phase 4 anaerobic power training are going to be athletes, and they're training for a very specific sport. The intervals are going to be shorter, but super intense, very taxing. The final thing I want to talk to you about are some key terms, if you will, some terms that you will need to know related to this chapter. The first is RPE, rate of perceived exertion. Study that, make sure you understand what it is. Also, understand the 3 zones, zone 1, 2, and 3, VT1, VT2, all that stuff, because again, you will be tested on that as well. Understand the differences between muscular endurance and muscular strength. Understand that FIT VP model, the frequency, intensity, time, type, volume, and progression. So, okay, I hope that was helpful. Guys, let me know in the comments below what other questions you have related to this chapter, and let me know what other chapters you would like me to talk about so that I can help you through this. And don't forget to like this and leave me a comment down below. All of those things really help me grow this channel, especially if you share it. If you share this with somebody who you know is studying for the exam, that would be awesome as well. So thank you so much. I hope this helps you guys out. I'll see you in the next video.